on now. This is meeting number 2.
Two.
Hello, everybody. We are the Star Atlas Council number 2. I'm calling it SAC 2 now. And thanks to
There you go.
Bohemian for figuring that one out for us, I think.
He likes
Yeah,
the
whenever
sack.
you think of SAC or number two, just think of this council.
Yeah, SAC 2. So, reminder, if you are in the DAO Council with us right now live, please keep your mics muted and your cameras off for now. And over the weeks, we may find some ways to optimize. But right now, we're slowly adding capability to our weekly stream. So I'm streaming this live right now, and also it will be VODed onto YouTube, Star Atlas TV after. So whether you're watching live, VOD, or you are in the Discord, you're watching the same thing. So Star Atlas Council number 2. For this slide, same thing as last week, where we have all 5 council members. I added time zone to so now you know PST, BST, CST, EST, EST, and we're still working on our little taglines, but this is what I came up with, or versus we all came up with last week, and we will eventually put our mission statement right there when we figure that one out.
I
Power
love
to
my
the
description.
Yeah, I know. So here's our quad. Up in the top left, the new additions from last week were that we concluded the council elections, we completed the transition meeting, we started the term, we held our first public tag up, and then voting initiated for PIP 12, 13, 14. Thank you very much to SAC1 for seeing us off on that. And then we adjusted the council hours. We determined our own weekly tag ups, both the internal and the tag up itself, and then created SAC2 meeting minutes, but based on our internal meeting the other day. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add to accomplishments?
Yeah, I put down there at the bottom because we were running out of space and I wasn't sure if we were formatting. We did create a Gmail to at least get things rolling. Thank you, Lanzer, for doing that. We can at least post stuff that all 5 of us can have access to. I don't know if that's appropriate for that spot or not, but
Oh,
it
yeah,
is something
absolutely.
that we did.
Where'd you put it?
On the bottom under the speaker, it's completely separate from your document. Speaker notes down at the bottom.
Oh, speaker notes. Yeah, go ahead in the future. Just put it here in this top left tab. Each time that we brief an accomplishment, I move it to our accomplishment slide. And that's like our, here, I'll do it right now. So 1 through 6,
tracker.
or it looks, yeah, 1 through 6 we got last week. So I'm going to copy, cut it, put it into slide. Where's our accomplishment slide? Right around here somewhere. Come on. What's here? Oh, here it is. Slide 14. So that's our overflow. And I'll just probably each left hand, right hand will be a whole month. And then that
I
will free
added-
up you to put stuff in however you like.
Perfect. I just added it.
Cool. So a new accomplishment was create a Gmail account. Right. I don't remember when I did that. I think it was like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Something like
As soon as you got elected.
that. Yeah. Okay.
5 minutes before he was elected.
All right. Anyone else? What other accomplishments do we have?
Accomplishments. Let me see. Already 12, 13, and 14 in voting process.
Mm-hmm.
Number 15 has been given to the Foundation for Review, which is the MAT meetup platform.
Okay. When was that delivered to us?
Yeah, that I sent that already to Glenn to approve. So we should have next week. We should have that voting started.
So sent PIP 15 to Foundation Director for review before initiating voting. Wait, we did our own review of it, didn't we? Or at least you all did.
Yeah,
right
we did
now?
the review.
Yeah.
We approved the review, and now we're sending to the foundation just to make sure everything is fine, and then I'll send it to the team to get it up for voting.
Okay. When was that?
Yeah,
Was that
And there
yesterday?
was-
ask us now.
Yeah, I did
When there
that.
were
Actually, I sent it over today. So it's Eastern weekend, so I'm
Nice.
expecting Tuesday that will be ready and I can pass to the team, and hopefully by Thursday we will be starting the voting.
Okay.
and there was three of us that reviewed that, correct?
That's the goal. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
I did not review that one, I don't think. Are
No,
y'all doing that
this is
in the SAC kitchen?
In our internal console forum.
Oh, the council forum. Okay. Gosh darn it. So much
Yeah,
stuff.
which is our private thread, so
All
we
right.
can get together our thoughts there.
All right, gotcha. All right, I'll try and pay attention to that future. Cool.
Yeah,
and
there's internal channels tied to the pips that are up for like final review, and we kind of hop in there and share notes back and forth of what questions to ask, what types of things to clarify. Drum linked it in our primary council channel, but I think each individual pip, correct me if I'm wrong, Drum, winds up having its own channel for those
Yeah,
types of notes and
normally,
discussions.
once we have the draft live and it's ready to be reviewed, I create normally another thread in the forum so we can all gather our ideas
Okay,
there before
cool.
giving back to the author. And then I don't know if we put here already, but we agreed on our internal meeting that the review process for a submitted draft should, for the first feedback, should be within a week.
Got it. Oh, I see now. In the forum it says review in-person community meetups platform. I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, I'm tracking.
And
Okay.
it's a little overwhelming because there's too many threads there, but you can group them by pips or by appointments or by internal, and it's easier to see what's there.
Okay. Sounds good. I changed the top right of the quad. Instead of it being future tasks, it kind of was redundant with the bottom left. I made it about scope. So what we're actually
Okay.
responsible for doing. The only thing I saw someone said Star Atlas is 1,000 strong. That seemed really low. Is that true?
And that's the really active community in Sage at the moment.
Okay. How do we find the actual number of players?
There's 1,001 ways that you could do it. You
Okay.
could totalize daily active people in Sage. You could add that to the people currently in Score and Faction Fleet. But there's also people kind of like you that you're not like active in either of those things right now, but you're active in
True.
the DAO. We would certainly count you again as a community member. So you'd have to take a couple of different types of activities and benchmark them against each other for like repeating wallets.
Can
But
we, if you have links in the chat where I can do that, because what I end up doing is I will link that here in the slide and then, I don't know, do a manual calculation every month or something. I need to get a beat on what number am I putting here.
for practical purposes, that 1K is very accurate.
Okay. All right, then I'll
Yeah,
keep
plus
it
or
there.
minus a margin of error. Yeah, it's
Really? We're only
pretty much
1,000 strong? I thought we seem so much bigger than that.
I mean, if you
we
look
are
at
bigger
you,
than that. Yeah.
if you look at YouTube views for content, if you look at engagement, followers for major content creators and stuff like that inside the ecosystem, Discord activity, the ways that we've benchmarked the fact that we're saying you have sufficient community sentiment and support on a proposal. If it gets more than 25 thumbs up in the idea section, um, that all kind of points from different directions too.
Gotcha.
It's not 20,000 people.
Vivi says that with the score is about 2K.
Yeah, I'm looking
Gotcha.
at
And
what he
again,
posted.
that's the average active users. That doesn't mean that is the community. The community is probably 10,000 strong, but
Yeah,
those are the
technically the
active users
community's
page
anyone
involved
holding assets.
every day.
Yeah, I
Like
would
if you
probably
own
end up counting
C11
them.
and it's collecting dust, you're still technically a part of this community.
So
Yeah,
what
I
button do I
think Ibai
press?
should also be able to give us an approximate.
I'm on the flip side, crypto. Where do I go from here? Market data?
I'm trying to look it up in real time, my friend.
It says click on VB says click on market.
Okay.
And maybe this could be
Oh,
something that
that's where you got the
It's
number
just for
from,
local
the
market, but
DAU
Gotcha.
it's daily.
of 2,000. Okay, we'll go with that number
That's
for
not bad
now.
for a daily.
But I do probably want the manual calculation of actual token holders, because that'd be the community. And let's
And
put DAU for now.
886 player profiles. So it means there's only 886 people that have actually taken the time to like go to the website and associate with their wallet and say, this is VB, or
Okay.
this is Viking Benny, or this
Okay.
is Signal.
All right. So
Yeah,
we
maybe
are responsible.
we can figure out a way to quantify it. I think probably between you guys.
Okay. All right. Upcoming events. Has everyone signed the NDA and done the KYC?
Yes, I think we all have at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone that got
Yeah, and Bodhi
added
already did. So
to the internal space
all
is
right, then that
because
would
they
be an
already
accomplishment.
KYC. Yeah.
All right. And did we review these new pips? We did that one. Community meetup platform.
Community meetup platform,
Yeah, it's
riding
done.
systems. I don't know. Creation
No,
of
that
DAOcaster role. I don't know.
yeah, writing system hasn't got the review since they resubmitted a different version of it.
Gotcha.
So that we're late on that one.
We can definitely
we are
knock
late.
that
The
out this
council is
week.
late.
Yeah, I think this week we should catch up with anything that we have delayed and start the within a week of business days. Like we won't count Saturday and Sunday, even though our time here is Saturdays. But
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, create a new expectation that if you get to the draft stage, you're going to hear from us inside of a week of you posting your draft.
Gotcha. All right. Then
so
finalize
I have
process.
a few additions for the scope of responsibility that I made some notes, but I think it's too much to put it there.
Okay. This is
Oh,
meant to
But
be
I
great.
can
like
share it or
1,
read
2
it right now if
sentence.
you want to have an idea what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'll put a little placeholder here for us to talk offline in the chat.
Yeah, I don't want to burn up too much time with some of this stuff, but
No, this is part of our scope as council members and things that we should be kind of either distributing among all of us or doing among all of us. But me, for the time moment, I've been doing it, and I'm fine with it. It's not too bad.
All I did was
But I
copy
would like
our
to,
service agreement for those 3 things right there. I just summarized them.
yeah.
And then I got that number from the DAO dashboard or the govern dashboard. And I got that number also from the treasury dashboard. All right. What
And this is
other?
honestly a great way to kick things off. It's what did we do for you over the course of the past week that we said we were going to do in the week prior.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, let me read really quick the points I was talking about. So the first section that I started making notes of stuff that we need to, keep updated among all of us is the PIT process by the council, which is check the ideas section to update any ideas that may have passed the temperature check and apply the correct sticker if needed. The responsibility to start the draft is 100% on the author. Signal, that's with you. Not only to avoid dumping a massive task on the council, but also to help filter the people who will actually do the work, which it is something that we kind of came with a conclusion last term, that if you don't find the energy and the drive to work on a draft, it's unlikely that you're going to work in a big project and take it on your own. But anyway, the second point would be ideas will stay open until a draft has been submitted. When a draft has been submitted, we will log the idea thread, post a link to the draft, and then continue the conversation from there. And then we also apply the right stickers, like the community approved sticker on the idea, and then we start the draft. Once the draft is submitted and reviewed, feedback has been incorporated, and we have approved the PIP. We will format it in Markdown and send the PDF to Glenn for foundation approval. I'm sorry. Usually, we will answer within a couple. He will answer within a couple hours if it's a business day. And so far, all PIPs have passed. We need to add the proper tickets where available, like in review or approved. Our internal review will be performed individually and posted in a thread created in the private console forum. The next item is, as soon as Glenn confirms, we will send the markdown file to the kitchen team, wait for the PIP to be up, check on any formatting issues, and prepare for voting. We will look the draft thread, post the link in the PIP voting and for the PIP voting, and apply the correct sticker so the conversation continues there. Gitbook knowledge base. We need to keep the knowledge base up to date, especially when we get new information based on a PIP submission. Like every new PIP, we're finding different situations, and we have to go and ask the foundation for guidance on how to, board those particular issues. For example, we decided with the team that disbursements would be made in Atlas because that's what we have in the vault, and other options are not impossible, but they will require specific authorization and input from the foundation, and we need to remember that they will be outside of the council's control. That's just a note
Carlos,
there.
what are you reading from?
I'm reading from my notes that I told you that were too big to put in that section. I will pass them, and then you can put them where.
Okay, got it.
Next point, once the update has been created in the knowledge base, at least 3 council members are expected to approve it before merging into the live document. The knowledge base is one of the only tools funded by the foundation in the sense that, we acquired that service and they reimburse. Actually, Fundcracker did that. And we have to communicate with the community and, make sure that this is the reference because that's the only live tool that we have other than this PowerPoint. Internal meetings, this we took care already. And then PIP administration and potential workload, because some PIPs will delegate a degree of management and budgetary requirements and organization tasks. Right now, Iris Bounty is likely to pass. If it passes, we're going to have to create a multi-sig wallet and transfer the funds there and start managing all that. And as more PIPs are introduced that require console management, we just got to keep track of all that workload so we can distribute it and we can make sure that we comply with the promise made when we approve the PIP. And that's all I have to add.
Awesome.
That's it. That's all.
That's
Jerome.
all
That's all we
there
have to
is?
do. That's all
That's
we're
all, man.
responsible
That's what
for.
I've been doing every day.
Okay.
Jesus.
Just got to look at all the things and run and operate all the stuff and be responsible for everything. That's all.
Yeah, I'm just passing the information. I will make sure that we all have it available. So slowly but surely, everyone can be part of this.
Okay. All right. And the
Awesome. Thank you,
upcoming
Brendan.
events, probably need to put a date. When do we think we're going to review all these PIP drafts? Like by the end of the month or what?
This is all this week.
Yeah, we should catch up this week, hopefully.
All right.
We will.
So
we
by
will.
April
One way or another,
25th.
we're going to make it.
All right.
Yeah.
And then finalize process with
The
working
real
groups
answer,
and
if you're
Theo.
ambitious, is after this call.
What about this working groups and Theo? Who was doing that one?
That is done. That is already in voting stage.
Yeah, they're live and active votes at this point.
Yeah, that's 14. That's P14 that
got
we
it.
got on the
Okay.
third section.
And the next one is when we get to, if we can get to it, the agenda item on the SAC SegWit, which is the Solana Grants writing team.
I'm
I
excited.
put that as an agenda item.
I think we also did the working groups markup thing. Is that what you guys were working on, Drum? And
yeah, Buddy finished that. That was his baby. He was the one that, we came with idea, but he was the one that wrote the draft. Actually, I think that was Brian's idea, the working groups. But it's ready. He did the markdown. I think I'm gonna fix a couple formatting things just to make sure it looks the same as the other PIPs. That got approved by the foundation already, so that's about to go live next week.
Nice. Okay. All right, for the goals, I changed mine up because my first goal was met on our first meeting, which was establish the process. Now I changed my goal to improve our interoperability among all of our different ecosystem people, gamers, business owners, creators. I listened to Signal's interview with I can't recall right now.
VB.
No.
Oh, POC.
Pac, that's right. And he called himself a politician. I think I am a politician as well. And then different third
That's
parties.
OG stuff.
Signal, what goal do you want to achieve? Give me your one-liner.
Yeah. I just want to be a greater resource for people with cool ideas that are looking to get things done in the DAO and bring more people into Discord. So mainly engagement, adoption, and support.
There you go.
Engage, adopt, and support community ideas. So you are the community incubator.
It's what I hope to be.
Cool. Emperor, are you still good with the verbiage, process, and procedure improvement? More robust?
Yeah, that's one of the things I updated earlier. Those are kind
Awesome.
of my current
Okay.
goals. I've got an entire page of goals that you
Oh,
guys have seen.
I'm sure you do.
Those are my low hanging ones right
One of these
now.
meetings, we're going to be able to get to go over that. Carlos,
Maybe.
successful transition to new roles, maintaining consistency. Do you want to
Yeah,
say it like that?
that's part of what I spoke earlier, and you guys have been added now to the kitchen. You have been added to the Telegram group with Glenn, and and you are on the knowledge base already. So far we're doing good with that.
Cool. Do you want to keep that your goal, or do you want to update to a new goal?
Keep it for a little longer.
Okay. And Bodhi is not here right now, but we're getting close to knocking this one down, especially now that we've listened to the SAC 1. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that. Signal. It's all
Yeah.
you. All right. Here's the action item sheet. I just copy pasted it from the Excel. And the first one was transfer ownership of Star Atlas DAO account. Signal, did you get around yet to reaching out to X support to initiate that?
So there's a couple of things here.
Okay.
One, I had a discussion with Michael about that account. I believe it might have been created or owned by Automata. So I think they have control over it and they can use it. I'm not sure if us officially utilizing that channel is their goal, desire, or intention. As of our last conversations, we were talking about spinning up a more unofficial council-based X account. Um, I wouldn't bake a whole plan around getting that individual Twitter or X account shifted to us. Is where it's at right now. I think we should just spin something up and get it done.
We can do both at the same time. It's easy to create an X
Yeah,
account.
absolutely. But
So that's the next action item,
contacting,
though.
yeah, but contacting X support to say, hey, this is a faulty account. This isn't us. We represent the DAO, not this account. When it's actually an Automata owned property, it's niche geet. It's not good. But
Did you
our
wait? Did you
our
confirm
original
that they
plan,
own it or not?
yes,
Michael
our
does own
original
this
plan,
account. Dang it, this thing keeps jumping out around on me. Michael does
And
own the
just
account.
they've
yes.
suspect that. Yeah, they don't
Wait.
know who has
So
the keys though.
Carlos is saying they suspect that. Signal, do they or do they not own it?
So I'm going to say a couple of things real quick right here.
Okay.
We should respect things that if we say them in DMs or private conversations. So, like, if I have a conversation with Michael and I give feedback to the group, I don't want to immediately be this thing where I'm asked publicly on recording things about that conversation. But yes, Michael believes it's an Automata owned account, and he's not sure whether or not he actually wants to shift that to the council or whether or not it's going to be used for another function. The path that we're looking at is rolling up our own individual X account as a council. So exactly what I started saying is what I'm still saying. We shouldn't be pushing for that individual address, and we should just be rolling up an X account.
And just to complement on that, we did have this conversation with Dan Partica months ago. He actually asked Glenn also to see if he can reach out and try to contact X to try to recover that, because Dan Partica didn't know the details either. So I'm starting to fear that that might be misplaced for a while. So he also had the opinion that we could just run with a council account and just avoid all these.
Yeah,
I
I
think that's
listened to
our
that.
cleanest path.
I listened to that episode, and gosh, I think I need to figure out what part of that is are we not allowed to talk about, because it wasn't just as simple as Michael would reach
Well,
out to
yeah, I
X
would
support.
advise you very early on to be very careful about where you receive information from. And then what gets just thrown out here.
Sure.
This is
Sure.
why part of the reason on the first time we didn't do too many of these public, because all the teams we had with all the meetings we had with the foundation was new important information, honesty on their side, reality versus expectation, and
Sure.
as everything was being created, it was just easier to report afterwards. But I like this new method, but we just gotta be mindful.
Yeah, I'll ask I don't know, I'll ask in the Telegram or whatever. I'll ask somebody, try and figure that out, because it was pretty clear that the group wanted to transfer ownership of that account into its possession. And all parties were represented in saying that they didn't have ownership of it.
Yeah, I think we should roll with our own.
I think at this
point.
point we're
Otherwise,
burning
it's 2
time.
months.
We're kind of looping our conversation right now.
Yeah, it's because we had it as a record action item signal. That's why we're talking about it
Well,
right now.
yeah, but I gave you an answer on it, including a conversation directly with Michael, and we're looping back to it still.
Yeah, because there's a disconnect. I think there's a clear disconnect with what you're talking about in DMs with Michael versus what the group talked about in SAC 1, and now what we're pursuing here.
Telling you to move on, Lancer.
All right. Did you create the new X account?
We were just talking about this the other day. People haven't agreed yet on what they want to call the account. If you want me to go rogue and just make an X account without everybody agreeing on it, I could do that. We were just talking about this the other day, and people still hadn't agreed on what they wanted to call the account or what it was going to be.
Oh, I thought we had a poll that we sent out to everyone, and that poll's over.
I'm really confused on if you just weren't in this conversation.
Maybe
we
I
all
wasn't.
sat together.
Where was it?
We were talking about this and whether or not to call it like an unofficial council account, whether or not we're calling it the DAO council account, what the name of the Twitter handle is going to be. If you want me to just pick all of that and do it, I'm happy to do it.
So we did I had done that poll, the one you're referring to, that was like a week and a half ago. But we needed to kind of make it official. And then we talked about it, I think it was Friday when we had our other meeting. And I think what we'll do is just do one more poll for all 5 of us to be completely 100% on the same page. I think we're really close.
And we wanted to have a meeting with the team to see if we could go ahead and get our own domain and do a web page for us. If we do that and we get the domain and we get the hosting, we can create our email and we can use a generic email account from the council to create the socials. So this is just something we need to keep debating outside of this call and try to fix by next week.
But as long as it's a team discussion, it can't be my individual action.
Correct. Yeah. And same thing. I would like input from Automata, because I know they were working on a domain at some point. But with Dan on a medical leave, I think we need to be a little patient for a couple of answers, because Santi is in Dubai and Michael can only be in so many places at the same time.
That's fine. I'm trying to update the actual progress here.
The update would be we're still working on it. It will be done this week.
Okay. You said you want to put out a new poll, and then we've got to confer with Automata on something.
Yeah, we'll just verify.
We have a meeting with them, correct?
Or is that what's our Thursday one?
Are they internal?
Yeah.
So Emperor, are you going to put out a new poll? Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
The biggest debates is, do we need some kind of blessing to make this thing officially recognized? Or my school of thought is, rather than waiting for all of that, we should just spin up something, use the word unofficial, and that kind of solves everything. And we can start using it as a means to communicate. But if we want to call something official, it's a larger group conversation, not just with our individual group, but between our group and the team. Trust me, I'd love nothing more than, hey, Signal, just spin up an X account and represent the DAO. But I think it's a little bigger than that.
For
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, if we're representing the DAO, it's one conversation. If we're representing the council, we're much more nimble. I think what Drum was saying, somebody already purchased a DAO council domain, and that's what we're just trying to figure out. So we're not duplicating that. I think we're all on the same page. I really do.
Okay. All right. Determine the status of. Oh man, I didn't copy paste the new one in here. My bad. So determine the status of the DAO council. That one's done. Got that back from the email chain from the director on what our status is, and then determine how to support GBA. I've been talking quite a bit with Falcor, and then we erected the Solana grants writing team that I want to get the team's blessing on, so that we can move out on that starting this week. Obtain access to revenue tracking stuff. I didn't get a POC for any of these other ones, so I don't know what the status is.
Well, what exactly do you need?
We talked about determining how to obtain
We
access
share
to
a
the
link.
rental.
We shared a link that had all that information last week.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, what to do with that information is a bigger question. Steven
Yeah,
Sabal
we're working
has
on
an
that.
awesome resource for tracking all of this stuff, but
Okay.
where we
you're
are
saying-
reporting it or what we're doing with it is a bigger one.
So you're saying the point of contact is one of us 5. So who's going to like spearhead that
Right,
stuff?
who's
Is that
gonna
what you're
own it?
saying, Lancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's up in the air right now. That's a big
I'm happy
task.
to take it.
No, yeah,
Right.
any of us can take it, but we don't have a domain yet. We don't have a website yet, so it's a little premature to take it from that angle. We just need to find out if we're going to get our own domain or not, so we can make stuff happen.
Oh, we're
Now,
getting
I'm only
We have
curious.
it
This
there
doesn't.
and we know how to access it.
Maybe I'm confused. This one doesn't actually seem like that big of an ask. You're just trying to figure out individual bits of revenue information, Lancer.
Yeah, at the council, we were trying to figure out what the revenue sources were. And
I can get that. No problem at all.
Yeah, we have that.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah, the point of contact. So Signal, you'll take that most of these on.
Yeah, I mean that's we already have a tool for looking at it. It gets into a pretty good amount of detail, and we can get clarity beyond that. Obviously, it's worth noting that those things change on a weekly, daily, and monthly basis. So on any given 30-day period, it's not going to be like this much comes from rentals permanently. Any given week or month, depending on asset sales, rentals, game activity, all of those different things are going to move. But we do have good ways of tracking them.
Yeah, it all came down to when we were trying to list out the treasury slide. What did we want to start tracking? There were 2 action
The
items
DAO
that came out of
website
that.
appears to have
3.
stopped
I just
updating
pasted in
that
the chat if you
information.
want to check it, Lancer. I just read Sherry in the chat if you want to check it.
Yeah, I had that, but that
information
wasn't
there.
sufficient for what we were after.
Well, what
What I
the
would be
the items you listed there are there.
what I would be interested in though is just who or what has been responsible in the past for updating revenue on the DAO site, and just figuring out is that something we can take on? Is someone else doing that lift? Because the last reported data that the official site has is, of course, December.
Yeah, so that's number 9 on
Yeah.
Lancer's list. Determine who to coordinate with to ensure we get that.
Gotcha. Like we could easily provide the data to them and they could just post it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that we're not getting individual access to govern.starlist.com.
Okay.
I think for these,
I'm sure it
this
would be really
purpose,
valuable if we could make it so people didn't have to go to Flipside, to get this information. They could get it while they're voting on proposals and looking at other stuff.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Flipside. We can just post the link in the same place where everyone is getting all the information, so it's easier.
Yeah, a lot of this ties to the tools that is under my some of my things to tie it all together in a prettier package, and that also ties back into the domain that Drum was talking about. So this is pretty broad still, but I think if we put signal for all of these for now, or it's, and we can all work on them too, because this is a pretty big thing to actually do in a pretty way that everyone has access to easily enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to poke around and get answers on these things.
Okay. And then we can take those answers and the other information we have, and then also like the domain when we buy it or we figure out who already has it for the council or whatever, then we can conglomerate all of that.
But here, I screenshotted the DAO revenue for the last month. And you can see exactly what is coming from where. More detail than that, I don't know.
Yeah, there's something like 50K, right? In the past 4 weeks.
Yeah, we saw that last
185.
week.
Oh no, yeah.
What we were saying is that it didn't give it to us in the way that we were wanting to have it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm sure we could work with Steven and get some clarity. I bet,
Okay.
yeah, that wouldn't be a big lift for him.
All right.
Again, that will be on us. The data is on the chain. We just need to code whatever we want to see in a specific way.
Okay.
Yep, and that's part of
the
my
Atlas team is not going to do that for us.
Yeah, that's part of my RFP stuff for the tools that I would like us to create.
It's super easy. None of this is rocket science. We just need a domain and a hosting size, and then we can make it happen super quick.
Absolutely.
Bingo.
Maybe the only request I would have of the team in this is if the DAO website's not updating this information anymore, like if they're not going to post what the revenue was in April or March for the DAO, and if it is going to stop in December, maybe just take the graph down. Maybe, that tracks it just so it doesn't look like anything stopped. Like someone looking at it right now for like signs of life or activity might see, well, the last update was December, and it might just be a bad look in terms of optics. So if we're going to track it elsewhere, it might be worth somehow noting it on the DAO website that there's a different place to track it, or just take the graph down, or I don't know. It's probably not the best optic in the world that we're 4 months past where the last update was.
Yeah,
and that's not saying the team should fix it.
Yeah. We have no control over the government because we are leaning on automata for all that, because we don't have employees. We haven't hired anyone to do any of that.
Yeah, I just mean giving them a heads up. Like,
Yeah.
hey, if you guys just aren't going to do this each month, and it's not a big deal if you aren't, but if you're not going to do it, maybe we should just get something updated so there's some clarity there.
Okay. Coordinate working groups for PIP reviews. I think, Carlos, you've been doing that one.
Bodhi was doing that one. That's already marked down. We need
Bodhi.
to maybe fix a couple things in the formatting, and that will be done next week, at least live.
Okay, I think we need a little bit of clarification. When you say working group, that would, to me, that's all 5 of us.
No, that's
for the PIP review. I know, but number 11 says coordinate working group for PIP reviews. I know there's a PIP for creating working groups, but I don't think that's what number 11 is mean. Right, so it's just kind of not a poor choice of words, but would that be correct, Lanzer, how this got put on here, number 11, coordinate working group for PIP reviews?
It's not for PIP reviews, yeah.
I put a bunch of question marks because I'm not exactly sure what the action item was beyond someone talking about doing working groups for PIP.
Working groups is a PIP that we're going to send to vote. And if it passes, we're going to be able to appoint community members that want to reach out in the name of the team to any contacts that they have in other places to list tokens or to do partnership with other projects. So in that case, they are involving us in the conversation. We're giving them an official role in Discord so they can show that they are in communication with us and there's a channel of communication, and that way they can represent us going and dealing, trying to make stuff happen for Star Atlas.
So there is a PIP called working groups is what I'm...
Yeah, I think you just need...
Oh.
You need to just rephrase coordinate working group.
I'm going to delete that one then, because if it's just a PIP review, then it's part of our workload. But if we are doing a working group, then okay. But it sounds like we're not.
Yeah, it's a PIP. No, it's a PIP.
All right, got it. Then I misinterpreted. Okay, when is good links?
No.
I sent those out. That's all done. We came to an agreement on when we want to do them, and send out community poll and DAO chat and screenshot blast as a first tweet. We don't have our X account yet, so we're still awaiting X account then.
Correct. And I did add one, a number 14, on there earlier.
Oh yeah, I see that now. Yeah, I forgot to copy paste the
No.
table back in here.
Nope.
Create
I did it
RFP
like 10
language and
minutes.
specs for tool creation. Okay.
Yeah, to create some of these tools that we want, and to send out a proposal or a bounty or something. But we need to know some of the technical stuff, like the programming language or some of that stuff. But
Okay.
it's a pretty broad statement at this point. But
Okay. So what can I put down as who is waiting on what to do what?
we're waiting on me to do everything.
Okay, so waiting Emperor to initiate like create the creation of the language.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, stakeholder diagram. I added GBA, Gallia Business Association.
Yeah, I think they're going to be very important in the near future.
Yep. For the treasury, I kept it the way it is until we have something that we can put in here that's more what we're after, that shows like kind of like a balance sheet of sorts.
Yeah, I think you should copy from that link that I posted that is more updated because it's current.
I mean, I can go to the link with the cash flow in it, like we've been doing.
Yeah, and if you scroll down, you can see all the DAO revenue. Scroll down more. DAO revenue, there you go. In the bottom, you have those two parts. Those are the most important. That's the income in the last month and divided by.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
Do
I
we
think
have
that's more
expenses
important. That
here
yeah, also yeah.
as revenue and then expenses? Huh. Okay.
But that's the whole project. That's automata as
Fascinating.
well. Yeah.
Alrighty. I will paste that in here for next time. And our meeting minutes, which we already started. Okay, I think I already show and telled most of that stuff. Star Atlas TV uploaded the VOD from our first meeting. Thank you, VB, for doing that. And I need to create a meeting minute playlist and made some updates to the org chart, the quad, and stuff we already talked about. So that one's done with. Emperor, you want to talk about subcommittees?
Yeah, it ties into Bodhi's PIP on the working groups, and then it also ties into your Solana grants writing team. I think they all kind of run in the same thing. So in my world, we deal a lot in subcommittees, and that's just the term I use. So I just wanted to bring it up in at least a public discussion to kind of see, if like you and Falco are gonna start working kind of together on this Solana grant writing thing, it would be a subcommittee that's kind of separate of the council that can't make any decisions or anything, but it's that same working group idea that Bodhi proposed. So I just want to make sure we're talking about it. And I think the subcommittee thing is very handy in the world that I live in and come from. So I just kind of wanted to talk about
I
it
think that's the
publicly and see what you thought.
perfect case example for the work groups.
Yeah, so I would say we would propose to create a working group / subcommittee. We can just call it working groups. I can just change my vernacular. That's fine. To do things, and one of the first things might be the Solana grant writing deal. Does everyone kind of anyone have any thoughts beyond me and Drum and
Our problem
Signal? Did you have
solver
any?
subcommittee.
Yeah.
We all do things. We knock stuff out.
I'm not a fan of creating a committee just to create a committee, but I was speaking more broadly, but the first one would probably be the grant committee.
So, oh, you propose like the framework of creating subcommittees to do things.
Correct. Which is what Bodie's PIP is exactly. And we should probably not call it subcommittee and call it working group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I propose to framework to create a working group. And the
Sure.
first one, we may as well just put grant, a grant writing working group.
The SegWit, Solana grant writing team.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Bohemian, I'm trying to go back to you.
So that is a
That-
small nascent project. Right now, it's just Falcor and I, but I would like to expand that to other volunteers who would like to. And we basically are from our action item last week about me looking into what Falcor posted about the grants. That turned into a whole thing of we could be submitting lots of grants that are applicable to our DAO that fall within the Solana grant writing. Dang it, the Solana grant system. They have a number of different avenues that you could apply grants to, and a number of them apply to us. So I propose that I host a separate meeting. You all don't have to come if you don't want to, but I'll publish it out in the DAO for anyone who's willing to help us write grants, and we leverage the GBA to start, well, submitting grants and obtaining funding to do stuff within our ecosystem. And I think what would be fairest is if when we get grant money from the ecosystem, that we convert it into an RFP, that then we have competitive bids from the DAO, and then the DAO gets to select a winner.
Can you give an example?
Sure. So let's say we get a grant for the first one I want to hit is DAO 2.0, where we look at developing a Discord integration into Govern, Let's Star Atlas, or tip.cc. We get an API hook into the DAO reputation systems like DAObase.ai, and maybe investigate a snapshot versus tally integration into Discord, depending on if that's the way we want to go. So we would submit a grant for that after writing it up. And then if we get the funds, then we will. So Solana will be giving us the grant money, but then we will create a request for proposal that we post out in the DAO itself. It'll have instructions of the proposers, it'll have how we're going to evaluate. And then when we publish that for, I don't know, 14 days, maybe in the DAO, our DAO, we receive a bunch of proposals for people who want to try and accomplish that mission. And then whatever, 3 or 20 proposals we get, we submit that to as a pip for people to rank order, just like the elections. And the top rated one gets to complete the work. Ta-da.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And I would definitely call it, creating a working group, and that it's very, I think, according to Bodie's PIP, a working group is ultimately underneath the council. With that, it's been a minute since I read it, but to me, that's the way it sounds. Like this would fall under that. So it's like a smaller, more focused group of council people and external community members and external even from the community that ultimately comes back to the council for anything. So it's not like anyone's bypassing any rules or anything like that.
Yeah. I'll go with that. So right now it's Falcor would be the deputy program manager because he's put the sweat equity in to help make sure this is a success. I head it up as the program manager, and then we build out the team for whoever wants to volunteer and help pursue grants.
I'm fine with it being underneath a working group underneath the council.
Yeah.
Carlos?
And
What do you think?
and if something doesn't work, we always just be like, no, it's not under the council.
Yeah.
This is too much, or this isn't working. You guys, the business association, this is all on you. We're washing our hands of it. That's entirely possible for us to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We'll make
Carlos?
sure we have the open channels of communication, the feedback, the support with the team. We'll make sure we're there for you guys for whatever you need.
Signal, what do you think? You hate the idea, or are you okay with it?
Feels like a big lift. Um, I'm not super educated on the Solana grants program, but off of all the things that I know is coming for the council and the things that we're going to have to manage, I'm just seeing administrative tasks, bandwidth. I think if the Gallia Business Association is looking to take the leads on some of these things, I think as much as possible, we should be trying to figure out, well, how can we take some of our effort and some of our energy and empower you guys more than making this something that falls directly under council. But yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I'm just thinking about bandwidth.
Okay. I feel okay right now with the bandwidth I can give it, and Falcor has been a huge help in doing the due diligence. We've got like a whole research document that we put together. We'll share that. It's no secret. Anyone can read it, and it just basically lays it out. What are the pathways? What are some of the grants that are being proposed, and what are their dollar figures? So some of them average about 100 grand a grant. Some of them are micro grants. There's a lot that we can do with the Solana grants, and it's all funded by their foundation, the Solana Foundation.
Yeah, to expand on, I think on Signal's point of view, what he's trying to say is that we need to let the working group take the lead, and we'll support them, but it shouldn't be on us to pursue grants because it's not part of our scope.
That's all I'm saying. Work on, not in, for lack of a better term.
We'll
Okay.
give the support and all the information and connection with the team that they need, but beyond that, we shouldn't be taking too much of a load in our back regarding grant processes in Solana, because it's a convoluted thing.
Okay, it doesn't feel convoluted to me. They've got a pretty clear process for applying, receiving funds, doing the work.
Okay, but you're asking us our opinions.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
that's fair.
asked.
That's true. True.
You asked and
Touche.
we gave it.
True. All right.
What do you think? Okay, here's what I think. I don't like that. I disagree.
All right. No, that's fair. Okay, so does anyone object to me starting up the initial meeting and seeing what happens?
Go for it. On the topic of bandwidth, Lancer, how long do you have before it's back to work?
I am off next week. I took another week off because of baby appointments and stuff. So it's the week
Nice.
after that I go back to it.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I will note the views.
And I don't want to type, but VB had a question about it. That's all up in the air and unknown. We're just kind of making this up as we go, so we won't have super detailed answers to these questions. Yeah,
What
Drum's
question?
typing. Maybe you can do it.
So would it be grants
It's
for
in
the
the
Start
chat.
List DAO or projects within the DAO? Could be anything, VB.
Yeah, I think it's hybrid,
some of the
right?
grants are DAO related. Some of them are marketing related. That's part of what the writing team will pursue. Is
We should
which
not get
ones?
involved with marketing at all. That's Francesca's territory, and we should include with the internal team as
Well,
much
any
as
film would
possible.
be marketing then, like the short films.
Okay, but that's also not the DAO. If it's a PIP, we'll support the PIP.
I can't tell if we're disagreeing with each other or what.
I think we just need to continue to communicate before anybody does anything like real big or like representing any. I think if we just continue to communicate, some of this stuff will come out, and we'll, you know what, maybe we'll have arguments and Signal get all frustrated and
Okay.
I'll rage quit again or something, but I think it's going to have to be a little squishy as we go. Just if everyone agrees to not make decisions on behalf of anybody without running it past the group.
I fully agree.
And-
If nothing else, it's important to remember that as council, even if you said we didn't represent the DAO, which of course in many ways and in many people's minds that we do, at a minimum, we all represent each other. What I do represents you, Emp, it represents you, Drum, it represents you, Lance, and it represents Bodhi. So if nothing else, being aligned just for the sake of that. I wouldn't want to jump out the window and do something that you guys disagree with. And then you're like, man, you really went rogue. And I know that it gets things to be a little bit slower, getting aligned, but I think just getting 5 basic people aligned is a worthwhile investment. I know we're all gung ho and we want to run out and take over the world, but I just want to make sure we're taking it over together.
Yeah, that's the important part. And then we're
Right.
also doing it out in the public as we are doing right now, so nobody's hiding anything or any of that. So yeah, it's going to be a little squishy. It's going to be a little messy still, but I think as long as we keep going, we're going to be good.
Yeah, we're gonna have a more acting role managing now that people are starting to come out. Like I'm dealing now with the funding for the Cologne Comet meetup, and nothing is easy. Everything is a back and forth, and information here and information there, and we're a little de-articulated because we are the consul, but we need approval from the foundation. But we got that through Automata, and then to get the exact numbers, we need to go to the author, and then it's complex. We're going to have a multi-sig if the Iris Bounty gets approved, and then we're going to have to manage the application and those small grants. And then we have to the working groups. We're going to have to manage that. And as more peeps come up that require assistance, it's fine. We can submit a new PIP that will replace PIP 10 and have 7 council members for the next one if we have too much work or stuff like that. But yeah, we just got to be conscious that the fact we have time this week doesn't mean that we're going to have time next month.
100%. That's all
Sure.
I'm saying. And I'm just looking at the stuff that we already have on the table that I know is coming. Like that Iris bounty, like that is going to be a task to manage. Everybody trying to coordinate their individual events, trying to get payments for them, figure out event information. Working groups sounds like a heck of a lift. Like just looking at how some of the ways that it could operate, I'm like, okay, there's a lot here. Then if you have something like Downcasters and that passes, Lord knows what else, like every single one of these proposals. Holy shit. I mean, if Polish for Pizza passes, it's true. Like you look at each one of these things and it's a cumulative load, right? That keeps growing and increasing. And there isn't really a designated person outside of us right now. Is like, well, who's going to manage all this shit? Like, it's going to be 5 volunteers, doing everything they can to squeeze all this stuff in. And that's all my question was, like with you, Lancer, too, especially with the Solana grants. So that's awesome. Like all of it's awesome. I just want to make sure that, how it feels with like your baby time right now versus how it might feel 2 weeks from now when like you're scrambling around work and dealing with all the other stuff. I just want to make sure anything we do take on, we can actually drive it all the way to completion and do it well. Because it's very easy at this stage, as ambitious as all of us are and as eager as all of us are, to bite off too much and not deliver it.
I was talking about when we started, this is a marathon and not a race. And we all, everyone come to the beginning of the term with a lot of ideas and drive. It's 7 months from now when you have been meeting 3 times a week and you are, revising and sending feedback at 2 in the morning. And then your wife is angry because you are again in a Saturday night on a call and all that stuff. That's when it starts to accumulate. So we need to make sure that we can handle it and we can keep doing a good, consistent job.
That's all.
Okay, fair. It's fair.
And mind you, I want to take over the fucking world, man. Like I want us to do everything. So like if I'm exercising caution, something's there really should be a flag up. Like, we'll just wait 1 second.
The other thing we have to keep in mind, we don't have any kind of accounting. That I imagine is going to be one of the first things the DAO is going to hire the day they start hiring people. But that means that we are responsible for reporting, for transparency, for accounting, and for answering all questions related. Right now, we already have about 4 pips that are ending the voting stage, and 2 more or 3 more the next week, and the next week there's going to be a couple more. So it's gonna keep building up.
It's going to be wild. And
Yeehaw.
this is definitely the first council that's ever going to be managing all of these active proposals. Like the
Yeah.
first council had the double-sided obligation, but also luxury. An obligation that they had to build all of this infrastructure and get it to work, but also the luxury of a whole bunch of shit hadn't happened yet. And passed yet, and they didn't have to manage like this swarm of all these recurring things that are happening and have to be actively managed and administrated. That's something that we're going to have to take on. We don't have to build all the infrastructure that some of the first council did, but we're going to have to manage a hell of a lot of shit that makes it across the finish line.
Having done Practica on a leave also put us in a very precarious position, because then Santis is stepping up, but he's just the community director. And then Michael is stepping up, but he's the CEO. He has plenty of things. So we have to figure out and get all these answers and get all this information. It's going to start getting really active soon.
Okay.
It will.
And we're getting close to overtime. Do you think, are we done? We're pretty much done with that last one, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we're done with
You
6,
feel-
2, and 1.
Yeah. We can leave off 4. I think, I guess I'm not going to speak for Signal, but just number 3, I do think it's really important. It's been in the chat and it will be in the chat. I think all of us are on board with speaking on behalf of the council at this point versus the DAO. Those are 2 very distinct and important things, and I think we need to be very clear about it as a group, that some of the things we're talking about is council, so just the 5 people, not the DAO as a whole. Is that how you guys see it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Agreed.
And that's been a legitimate concern from the foundation Automata, because Dan is part of both, that maybe it's better if we speak in behalf of the council only, and that way we can say whatever we want and we don't need the Automata to keep an eye on it.
All right. So everyone in the chat heard. Yeah, everyone in the chat heard that. VB and Bohemian and everybody, we're only speaking on behalf of us 5 when we're doing these things and creating social media accounts and email addresses and everything.
Absolutely.
Just wanted to make that very clear.
Yeah, another reason why an account that says Star Atlas DAO is a DAO that's owned by Automata maybe doesn't have any business being turned over to us anyway, because we aren't, the DAO.
Okay,
Us 5 are the council,
so
and we are
DAO
members.
The DAO is separate from the foundation.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the DAO council is separate from the DAO.
Yeah, I guess I'm. That's one of the questions I want to ask the director. He specified in that email what I showed you all, and it didn't. Okay, I just put a pin in that.
Yeah. Again, I would just I'd be careful of where you got a piece of information.
I CC'd you
If it
all on
wasn't-
it so you could see it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if the team or the foundation didn't make an announcement to everyone in the world about something, I wouldn't just naturally assume that it's for everyone.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Swim lanes.
That's me. That's me for you. That's not me. I'm trying to keep you out of trouble.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. So swim lanes, I really want to get into that one. Can we do that one next week?
Absolutely. Obviously the point of it is just people should know. They should be able to see all of us and just go, hey, this is what this person does. This is what this person does. And it makes it very easy from a distance to see who's doing what and whether or not they're measuring up to what they were supposed to be doing. Half of that could even be discussed offline, and we could, after discussing it offline, present more to people about, hey, we talked about swim lanes. Here's what we came up with. we maybe don't have to have that entire like hour-long conversation about breaking out all these tasks publicly. We could do a
I'm fine
poll if
with that.
people would be
It's
interested
fine
in
with
it,
me.
but I could see it taking a ton of time.
Well, that's fine. This is our meeting to do with what we need to talk it out.
I
Yeah.
like that though, because we were talking about it last term that it would be good if any council member had a responsibility. Like this guy is the financial guy that is going to be in charge of reporting. This guy is for transparency. That guy is for community. This guy for
Right.
format and process. And we can do that easily and just define a few umbrellas so people know where to go to ask questions, and it's more efficient. I
Okay.
like it.
You could see all the different parts of the machine, and you can see what's working and what's not.
So for next week's agenda, I'll put swim lanes at the top, and then after that, Emperor, do you think we'll be ready to start talking about council goals, each of us?
That's gonna be a big one. I think like for all of my goals, I'm just gonna keep breaking them into small ones. So like my two agenda items I put on there were from my my goals list. But yeah, I think if and honestly, one of Signal's goals was exactly what I just talked about. So yeah, I think we're doing it in tandem with already what we're doing. So.
Yeah, right on. All right, I'll put those two as a surviving agenda items. We just knocked out 1, 2, 3, and 6. I think we're good. Transition to office hours now.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I don't want to keep
Open mics,
people
boys.
waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, just unmute. Just everyone does pretty good. And Lord Rhapsody, I don't know if I was trying to mute people and unmute them. I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna unmute you because I don't know if you're like permanently muted.
They
But
should be able to
yeah.
unmute themselves.
Okay.
All right.
I just
Office
don't know what all
hours
these
has begun.
little things mean. So
Can,
cool.
can anyone do a quick test?
Want to buy Rainbow Chi at $80. Looking for 12 of them.
You sound
It's a
like a
good
movie
deal,
star.
man.
Funny. So I know there was some questions in the chat, but does anyone have anything that we didn't address or anything new?
Yeah, don't be shy. Nobody here bites.
Well,
Hard.
speak for
Yeah.
yourself.
At least not remotely.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? Falcor here.
What's up,
Falcor.
Falcor?
No, I just gotta say I'm loving this building in the open thing. I'll spare you the video. I'm just sitting here eating pistachios in my bathrobe, but yeah, no, it's been amazing. Connecting the GBA with Lancer and just sort of feeling out the potential. So we'll kind of see what happens. But I appreciate
Right on,
you guys.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was there
absolutely.
anything-
Do you have any thoughts on just since you mentioned it, and you're like the dude for this, the Solana grant proposals and the GBA, how you would see that structured, capacity, how much support the GBA has to like, I guess, how much of a lift do you see the GBA being able to handle like day to day for this stuff, and how much of it do you think maybe the council needs to take on, or do you have any feedback, thoughts, opinions on how we would divide that workload and while we're trying to take care of everybody else and everything else?
Well, from my perspective, I'm kind of just a grassroots guy in real life and in Gallia. I did several successful grants here in Nova Scotia with my small business. But in talking to Lancer, he's got this bigger picture experience. So all this stuff that he puts together, that's obviously super organized, and I've been learning a ton from him. I don't know how that's going to work with the RFPs and money coming into the DAO and then being dispersed by voting and all that. But I do know that I was able to do a kick-ass grant proposal for my personal project quickly. Like I used Grok, and then I had to go through and fix a bunch of stuff. But all the documentation behind this thing that you're seeing here, I did to because he is he's going to go back to his job 9 to 5, but I am like this guy with like no life to speak of outside of Star Atlas, to be honest. I found Star Atlas at a time when my business was going away and divorce and all these things, but it was like my new family, and I'm running with it. So to answer your question on that, I take that seriously. What was the title you put in there for me? Is like deputy something.
Deputy program
And
manager.
yeah. So I don't know what all this means and like how that's going to play out, but I do know that I've been looking to sort of build at the ecosystem level for a very long time. And when, FALAC, and I guess it was Hashtag, they started up the GBA, it was just like an instant kind of epiphany, like, holy smokes, these are my people. Because we have all these projects, the ecosystem, with the creators, IP businesses, developers. Now they're all in one place. They're all listed, in the documentation of this thing that we're seeing here. And yeah, I don't know what that all means, but I know that it's going to be awesome.
The program managing
It
right now,
is.
Falcor.
We'll figure it out, man. But I'm all in, and I think the next step, Lancer was suggesting, putting this out publicly and looking for people to sort of volunteer for that working group, and because I understand it's a lot you guys are dealing with, so it's like if it's a heavy lift, then let's delegate it to where it's like it's not, So that's just my thoughts on it.
Deputy program manager means that if it doesn't go well, it's your fault, and if it goes well, great job, DAO.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
A
well,
lot of
that's all
new,
good. I
a
got
lot
thick
of
skin,
new
whatever.
interns.
He and I talked about how we get the blame as program managers if it goes wrong.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're going to have to focus on early on is scalability for the DAO and administrative efforts. That might just look like Drum said, it might look like just more council people. It might look like getting some kind of administrative assistance. The biggest thing is just making sure that anything that we're taking on, we can actually deliver really well. We can push through to its conclusion. It feels like it's high quality, it's moving fast, it's efficient. That everything that you would expect to happen in Star Atlas, like what's Mike Wagner talk about all the time, like a AAA product, like what our standards should be. We don't want this thing to start looking like falling apart, like Apple Cart, going down the road just because we put too much in the wagon. That's mean. I think we should take on all kinds of things. I think we have to. Like the DAO is supposed to be this massive thing that's incorporating massive changes and doing all kinds of stuff in the Star Atlas ecosystem, the Solana ecosystem. I just want to make sure that as we're doing it, like we're adding some extra wheels to that cart, or we're getting an additional wagon, or we're building out the infrastructure so it's sustainable growth and it's scalable. It's not just we take on a whole bunch of shit and then the council like just gets bottlenecked and implodes, and people are wondering what the hell happened to us.
You know what I would like to see, like we also like all this, I call it bureaucracy and everything, but I think at some point the DAO should also focus on user growth. That fund we have, this funding, like the Atlas we get for the community fund, like we should try to use it like to get more people in, because the numbers are depressing. You saw the thing I posted. I check it every morning. I wake up and then it's like 2 or 3 or 5 people less every time, and that's going on for the past 2 years or something. So it's from that perspective, it's looking totally grim. Like everything else, like the updates we get from the team and V5 and all cool. Everything is cool, but somehow we losing people every day, and I don't know why or how, but
I don't think
we
that's a problem that you can fix with money, to be honest. We need a game, we need a better market, and that's all coming. So I think that's going to change eventually. And the only reason,
Yeah.
the fundamentals right now are kind of stagnated if you
But
see it from the
it's looking good,
outside.
Everybody I'm talking to here, when I talk to you, or everybody loves it. We get new updates, and it's coming, and this is coming, that is coming, and that update, and it's all looking so good. But why we losing people all the time? Like
A little bit in the camp. I am a little bit in the camp of one. I do think every single thing that we spend Atlas on. First, think about what Atlas is. Atlas is the value of our ecosystem at any given moment. If we're going to spend Atlas, then that means we're going to put downward pressure on the token. We're pressuring the financials of our ecosystem every time we pass an initiative that requires funding. So the first thing we should be asking of just about any initiative is, does this have the potential to grow the ecosystem? Does this have the potential to expand? Is there's more people that would actually be buying Atlas or assets that would prop it back up again? Otherwise, it's only down. And it's only well, this doesn't grow the pie, but we're going to spend money anyway. So the token suffers more. Then we have less money to spend. I think it's really, really important that we are investing in at least trying to get a little more visibility, a little more excitement, reaching out to more people. I think Lord Raspy is a great example. I'm not going to talk out of pocket for him, but meaning as someone who onboarded to this ecosystem not that long ago, fell in love with this place. He has spent a shit ton of money inside this ecosystem off of what we are right now today, off of being excited about where we're at right now today. There's plenty of other examples like him that people that are coming here right now, getting excited right now about what we currently have. I do think if we could increase visibility, adoption, outreach, drive more people into this Discord to have conversations with our great community. I think not only could we grow that base, but it's also financially responsible for Atlas. Sorry for my rant.
No, it's good. Like, yeah, that should be always the focus. What can we do, like, to get more people in? Like, if we spend the Atlas, do we get like something out of it?
Vivi, shut up. We're paying for your party. Shut up now.
It wasn't even my party. I just helped out there, so you can.
I'm coming, by the way.
Actually,
I
about
already
that,
put down
like,
the registration. I'll be
I
there.
don't know if that. I was talking to Kivimi, and he said you got some updates. When is that public conversation, or should that be talked in private?
Well, it is. We're just in the back and forth. He's waiting for an email to send the information for the KYC. Automata, which is Santi right now, is helping us. Middling also
I contact
foundation
Santi
and trying to get then we have the
because he got
structure
a
of the
little
PIP.
nervous.
We have the structure of the PIP, and we need to decide how we're gonna handle those funds. But Santi is in Dubai, so it's just a clusterfuck. But we're getting there. You will have those funds quickly because the
No, I
foundation.
got it, but I was a little bit surprised the way now it was proposed. Like, maybe is that a public? Can I speak here? Or is
No. But
not here.
we'll keep middling. We're talking with them. So
we figure it out. But what I would love to see when we have figured out, we need that. I don't know. It was 0.9 or something in the previous talk, like that we get a ledger or something. Okay, I can check on chain what the DAO spent, but I see a transaction like $5,000 or $10,000, and then I don't know. That is for this pip or that pip. So I would really love to see we have somewhere where everyone can see the expenses of the DAO.
Yeah, that's part of what I was talking a little while ago, that we don't have an accountant, so we're gonna have to fill in this position where we need to account for all of that, keep record of all of that, make it public so it's transparent and everyone can go and check. So that's something
did you guys? I know I was asking this before. Did you guys ever figure out the Nabatong winners? Who was that? Who won everything? Because on the side, I never got a full list from all the project who participated, who.
So no,
who
that
got
was
which money and.
So that was that happened right before the election of the council. So we were not there, and that was led by Dan Partica, who is on a medical leave. So we are kind of on waiting for that for a little longer. But
I was pushing
at some point.
Yeah, I was pushing Santi a few times, like I would like to see at least the website updated or a list or a document. Okay, these 20 projects participated. These were the winners. These were the guys behind it. They made that and that. Because I never got really a fully list or anything about that, right? Or did I miss it? No, it was just like, okay, we paid
I don't think any
money.
of us did.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad, and for history reasons, it was the first expense of the DAO.
So we have the PIP, so we know exactly how much it was, and we know they got paid because I'm using their system and it's awesome. We only need a more formal report of everything so people can easily go and trace, go back to the wallet and see, okay, this makes sense. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But as far as payments, I mean, one thing we definitely could do is informally, and before we have like an infrastructure for all this stuff, we could use the DAO announcements channel. If the
Yeah.
DAO has an expenditure, we can just
Yeah, and,
list what
and
it was.
we can create a section in knowledge base as well. We have full control of that. So that's an
Yeah,
important
just
tool to
something
have.
simple. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it would be nice to have everything.
Good.
So I think a section of the knowledge base should be a more interactive part when we are updating all the time, and people can go and check, at least while we have a domain and we put everything together in the same web page.
absolutely. And just to communicate for at least 10 minutes, I'm going to officially shut the hell up because we have multiple other council members here, and I could be guilty
Yeah,
of
Signal.
taking up too much oxygen. So start the timers.
Wait, one more signal. Do we have a watch party on Wednesday for the free new Andor episode? Somebody needs to
Yes,
stream it here. This we could watch it.
We can have a watch party for Andor on Wednesday.
Very nice, very nice.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. I like that.
Okay.
No, I appreciate all of these questions, especially from you and Bohemian. We are actively working on all of this, and I mean, there's just so much. There's so much that we have going on. But yeah, money in, money out is very, very important. And me also myself, just like Signal, I'm a move forward, break shit, jump out of the airplane and build it as you go guy. But you do still have to be a little like when people like Rome or when Signal and me are pulling back. And honestly, all of us are go type people. When we're pulling back, it's pretty important. Because we're putting limitations on ourselves. But yeah, the financials are really important. They're really high up there. What we're also trying to avoid is recreating any wheels that, like, even just getting an email address. Do we, you can sign up for all these X accounts and do all this and that with an email, but then you just move forward and break stuff. Well, when you have to transfer it after you've just, done it on your own, it could just be a friggin' nightmare. So we're trying to be a little, do the process. Yeah.
So we can pass the baton as well afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
I
if
love
Drum
to
just
tweet
goes
in his
and
phrases.
yeah, if Drum just goes and buys a domain because Emperor was all in a mood after a meeting and just was like, fuck it, just go buy it. Well, that's not exactly the best way to do that. Let's not use Drum's credit card. Let's see the proper way to do it. So we're trying to avoid that.
What we should do among the 5 of us is commit to have that solved by the 1st of May. So 1st of May, we should have our social accounts, and we should be.
What is this? What is it?
Solving the issue of the domain /emails this month. So next month we have our social accounts and other stuff working because we can forever.
I also was talking to Lenza. I would see like you guys also creating a YouTube account, for example, and upload these meetings there. I mean, I can record them for you, or Lenza can record them for you. But I would always love to see that stuff on official sites, not on private entities. So.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been thinking about a lot too. And I was telling the guys the other day, if we have everything under one person's name and heaven forbid they pass away, we're just like screwed. So having it centralized under one person, as much as that gets stuff going, it's not the best way to store stuff. So I'm totally in support of having it at least in the control of the 5 people. So if something happens, it's not just centralized.
Yeah, and maybe
one. I've got a different view on that one. We already have a startless CV. VB runs.
Yeah, but that's but I'm, as I said before, like I'm in a bad mood. Me and Signal ranting. I leave Star Atlas, then I delete Star Atlas TV, and all the history would be gone. So I would love to see it more
of everything.
Yeah, I know. Just for like to make it perfect. I always like. the DAO, if there's a DAO, they should have their own YouTube or their own whatever platforms they need
I'm
to
of the
publish
opinion that we
the
use
information.
the community
I mean, we
resources
help
that we
them,
have.
and I still will record it and put it on Startless TV, but it's always better like the DAO has their own stuff, you know.
I wasn't too
What I mean?
concerned about the bandwidth thing right now that Signal was referring to, because we do have some things that we put on ourselves, but right now it's mostly it's manageable. When I have to
Yeah, but
manage both the
it's
YouTube
I always
channel
see it
and all these other
for the
things,
history books, you know, in 5 years somebody says, what did the first council do, or what did Trump colors do? And then it would be nice the DAO has an archive of videos or something like that, you know, in their knowledge base or whatever, and you know,
Yeah.
just for
that's a lot of work for me to do in addition to
No,
you
no, no,
doing the
no.
same thing.
Yeah, as I said, like you can delegate. We can make a working group. I record the videos. I send it to you or a council member. He uploads it to the council, to the DAO YouTube, and it's good. You know, just so it's more, yeah. I mean,
I
it's
believe
nice.
that the word you're looking for is decentralized. You know,
Yeah,
decentralized
decentralized.
autonomous organization.
Thank you.
Signal, just what the fuck are you gonna say? Just stop.
Yeah,
What
I
you
need
got?
to
30
learn.
seconds. You got 30 seconds. Signal.
I just think VB's completely nailed it. If you want to look at this stuff historically, if you want to go back and try to educate yourself, the fact that Lanzer is on council right now and he's hosting things, the fact that VB attends meetings right now and he's recording things, and that we have copies of these things in different people's individual YouTube accounts or things like that. That's probably not the best or most sustainable way for us to create a record of everything that this DAO or council has ever done. We should probably be taking these videos, like VB says, and putting them somewhere centrally, at least for historical reference. Probably once we upload the DAO Twitter or X account, every single time we finish one of these and have a recording, it should probably be a post. That way there's at least some sense of history and people can come back and reference these things. Pretty easy tasking. And it makes a lot of sense, the value case.
So I've got an off the wall question, unless you wanted to add something, Lancer.
Yeah, I don't think it's as easy as that. I think that's when we really do start overtasking ourselves. Because I always think when you say that, or when anyone says that, who's doing it? Who's doing the button clicking? Which one of us is going to hit the record button and then hit the upload button and then publish it on YouTube, then blast it out on social media? That's a lot of work. In addition
Yeah,
to
we
Do
could
all of
we
that.
could
I
make a
can
pip
screen
and
record
create
off of
a
my iPad.
yeah,
Post pretty
but
easy.
we could make a pip and create a working group for that or something, you know, like 3 or 4 content creators, and they can share the task, and you know
that would work. Yeah,
I don't
that
something
should
like
be our
that.
second working group then.
Yeah, so if I
So
like
should
do like a little
yeah.
exercise right now, here's I'm at my iPad.
I mean, how you expect, for example,
I'm now
your
recording.
X account? Yeah, but your X account, who would do that? Like Signal posting tweets every day, or
Yeah,
how
I
you
think we
imagine
agreed
that one?
Signal's going to do it.
Gratas
Yeah, but
Council.
there still should be like a process, a setup, you know, for the process, something like that. Because
Yeah, I'm
as you said,
gonna
like
jump. I'm gonna jump in and tell you kind of my thoughts and sort of some of the stuff that I see us moving towards. Hiring staff is one thing, but just like you said just now, you can also have a freelancer do some of this stuff, and we could designate some funds to pay somebody to do some of that as a freelancer, and that's something that's entirely possible because a lot of this is going to get too much. Honestly, it already is. We're going to make it
Yeah.
work and make it happen.
I added
But
that
It
to
should
our
be a
I
resting
agenda item.
assumption that we're going to get help. I mean, we should just
Yeah.
assume that's going to happen.
Yeah, it
I
can't not
put that
happen.
down as our agenda item. I think
Yeah.
when it gets to it, we should create the position description and hand it to the foundation if they want it.
So all that being said, I wanted to get some people's opinion, and any of you guys, if you can talk and you want to, feel free to chime in. We definitely want opinions, whether we like them or agree with them. It doesn't matter. But I'm more of a real life. I like being prepared, and I don't like centralization, and I don't want somebody having control of me at all. So autonomy, right? What are our thoughts on, and I don't know the technicalities of any of this, but like I have a Start9 server at my home. Instead of using Dropbox, I have everything stored on my literal hard drive and my Start9 server, but I also back it up to Dropbox. What are your guys' thoughts on the decentralization of some of this stuff? And maybe not necessarily council members, because we could talk about it, but should we have like a physical server sitting in a rack somewhere versus like being on
I remember we were
Amazon
talking.
Web Services?
No,
Question
we
is,
had
does having a physical server actually decentralize us more or less? I guess
we
would be
had the
right.
idea. The topic came up like 2 years ago, or in the beginning of the DAO. We had the idea, couldn't there be a solution like Filecoin or something, where we get a decentralized account for the DAO where we store this stuff? I don't know.
Yeah,
There should
and
be
I don't know either.
decentralized options
Like
for that.
Arweave, wasn't that like
completely
what
decent-
Solana was using back in the day?
Completely decentralized is really hard because storage is really expensive in blockchain. So you normally have some kind of blockchain mechanism tied to a centralized server place when it comes to videos and storage of large amounts of information. So I don't know if we're there yet. It might be a technological barrier right now, and we may just have to be happy sharing a cloud system.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point. Like where I'm thinking in my head, and these are some of the questions I have for the technology portion of it. But does like Autonoma, do they have like an actual literal server rack somewhere physically in a location that we could just like put our own in there to do backups of like all the Discord conversations and just back it up at least in like text form or something? Like, is that even a thing? I know it's centralized in the sense that it's in Autonoma's rack, but that's way better than having it in Amazon Web Services rack. And then, you know, what happens when like the trucker strike thing happens and, oh, this is a blockchain game, I'm going to shut them down. You can't host. Or what was that social media one? Like, it wasn't Signal. Was it? Was that the social media company that got shut down because they were hosting stuff? Basically, just trying to avoid that.
I think we're overthinking. We just need a Google Drive.
Yeah, well, the way I see it, we should definitely have a few backups, and if you want to make it like really decentralized, just create a torrent or something, and a few community members host a torrent or something, you know. But maybe we should explore something like Filecoin, I would say, like some decentralized service for that. I don't know. I never looked too much into it.
Yeah, and
but like backups are important. So if you have it on your server, there's a few other people here. I think Quindart, for example, they have their own tech and their own servers and stuff, and the more people the better, but I'm not sure what's the best way.
And see, Drum, I agree, having it really easy to use like a Google Drive. I totally agree with that. I guess I'm talking more of like the backup of that, you know, the redundancy. 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is for me, like as.
And I guess some of it is also maybe just a little bit, when we think about some of these things, what scenario are we actually planning for? Like, are we planning for a scenario where like nuclear war broke out and the Amazon Web Services is gone, you know, like all these other things like shut down, they're not here anymore. And
no, but
I guess my next question would just be, in a world where like none of those things can be relied upon, who's looking for videos about what the council was doing in Star Atlas right now?
Looking to play games.
Yeah, right. I don't know, but Drum, I think, is probably right. Decentralized storage is expensive. We could raise it up to the community if that's something they wanted, like Arweave and stuff like that like Solana used to use to like back up its data. there's decentralized products. We can open a folder there and drop a bunch of stuff in there. Maybe if we gave the community a dollar figure of what that looked like, they wouldn't care about it anymore. And yeah, they'd be like, we'll take the Google Drive.
Yeah, and I cut myself off. I don't know how long I was talking to myself, but I was agreeing with Drum having a Google Drive, like it's super convenient. But I'm more talking about like the backup, the RAID, like just the backup of that. 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is for me. That whole prepper mentality.
So if we have YouTube, we have Discord, we have Google Drive, and we lose all three, we probably have more things to be worried about.
We're probably all fucking dead.
Than the records that have in a video game.
Right.
Well, here's the other thing. If we have all that and it's backed up, it's in one central spot. You have the videos, the text, all of it. You have the knowledge base backed up to it. Imagine what you could do if you had your own language learning model. Like I think who's putting out their own the NVIDIA or somebody. So you put that LLM in the rack as well, and then you have all these backups, and you have one data point that LLM can pull from. And again, it's out of the box, and I'm just looking for feedback. So
I'm more concerned about other things, like from the law things. Like what if the USA outlaws DAOs and Cayman Islands is not safe anymore, or they make a deal with the Cayman Islands? What happens to the people here, like Signal or the Colors live on stream? And then, we did things that might be illegal, or the things we did here, like we could be responsible, like, because the thing we did in the past 2 years here with the DAO would be illegal somewhere or something, that's more concerning to me.
We'll blame Jose and Santi.
Remember in the beginning with the foundation when they said the free foundation members, they could not be Americans or something? It was in the very beginning of that already made me thinking, okay, if the foundation members can't be American citizens, that's already something weird, like in that sense.
Yeah, we've all collectively agreed that if any shit goes down, we're just going to blame Dom. So we've got a plan. Dom made us do it. It's all him.
The world turned into a suck.
Yeah.
No, I think we shouldn't be too worried about that, and more worried about efficiency and engagement and live chats. And it's always nice to leave proof and enough reporting that you can go back to and check where things happen. It might be interesting in the future, maybe for historical reference, if someone wants to write a book like the Empires of Eve or something like that related to Star Atlas. But yeah, I think we shouldn't be too concerned about it. But it would be nice. Well, I think we already do have a Google Drive where we're trying to accumulate console material and stuff so we can pass over later.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think it would be like super high priority. And I'm thinking, I try to think 4 or 5 steps ahead. And I don't want to
go back and read Bohemian.
Well, I do, because he's the villain, right?
Just kidding, Bohemian.
Is he the villain?
Bohemian's had some really interesting chats lately. I don't know. People might come back 40 years from now just to see all the back and forths with Bohemian and Brian talking about the future of Star Atlas.
He normally speaks in the.
He just posted something. He just posted a rug pull. Like, I think Shadow was a rug pull. They struggled for. I always thought they're super cool. I remember when they first minted the NFT and then all this decentralized storage on Solana and infrastructure. But didn't they rug pull like a few months back? The token got like wrecked and everything. I'm not sure. I think that's not good anymore. That Shadow for a long time.
Do we have any? We should have asked at the beginning. Do we have any pre-reviewed pip authors here that want to discuss their pips?
Oh, yeah. Does anyone want to hang out? Anybody got a draft up right now that's up for review?
I know Bohemian has one voting that has been controversial.
We have 20 minutes before we end.
I know, yeah, like there's some bunny rabbit in here on Easter weekend that may have just put up a draft an hour and a half ago.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes,
Raspy
present and
literally just put,
accounting. I'm accounted for. Present and accounted for.
yeah. Now, mind you, of course, none of that, the few instances that we have, none of them would actually qualify in this particular audience, Lansing. So, like, we've got Bohemian, he's active, like, his vote's up. We have Raspy, who submitted a draft, but we haven't pre-reviewed it. Like, it literally just happened while we were hanging out. But I'd still be
No, I'm
happy to
excited
talk
to read
pips.
that one.
Yeah. Show us your pips.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, I mean, this is so exciting, guys. In all seriousness, what can we talk about? You said we've got like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, tell us.
Yours is a
I
pip that's up. You take precedent over me bullshitting about decentralized servers.
Our views are going to go through the roof, Raspy, if you talk about your pip in this, because then we can advertise it to people like, listen, maybe you're not the, but the Star Atlas documentary guy was in here, so tune in for that. And just like a proper teaser, it only happens the last 20 minutes of the show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's like, when you go to some political leaders' rallies, they only show up like, an hour into it, and you're just like sitting and waiting.
Like a 5-minute video on X that just goes, wait till the end. You know, that'll be this. So what have you got, my friend?
Say that again.
So what have you got, my friend? What would you like to say about your proposal to all the people who are going to listen to this?
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's very ambitious and it's very exciting. And, I should probably, start off by saying that on Monday in the Star Atlas Discord, at 3 p.m. PST is the live stream of the season finale of, season 1 of Raspy's Rundown. So there's a lot has gone into this. It's a slightly longer piece. It has a lot of surprises. And I hope everyone likes it. I mean, I realize that this live stream, this one that we're currently in right now, will probably go up after that one. So it's like time travel, but I hope everyone loves it. A lot of love has gone into it. And I think this kind of leads us into the bigger story of, um, oh my gosh. You know, there's a lot. When Santi told me that I needed to be in the Discord, and I really was reticent to join. I just wanted to play this game by myself, and then he kept saying, "Come to Discord. You really need to be there." And I really downplayed it for a long time. I think 3 months into the game is when I joined Discord, or maybe a little more even, and that's changed everything. It's so much more dramatic, really. And there is unlimited content, in my opinion. We can go in so many directions. We'll have more content than we know what to do with. And I am very hopeful that we can weave together a story that is compelling, following the lives of some of the most, notorious or interesting or, different characters within Galia in real life, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really, really exciting proposal. Other than Rising Sun's proposal for Evi, I can't think of any other proposal that reached 25 plus likes, as quickly as yours did for community support. 24 hours hadn't gone by and you were in the 30s, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I really hope to. I mean, I really hope to bring a lot of value to Star Atlas, and I think we're just starting to ramp up now, and this can accelerate. And we have the benefit of Star Atlas game is gaining momentum now, so we're all moving like in tandem, and I think it's going to culminate in a parabolic rise.
No, I think that amount of exposure could be absolutely amazing for us. Even if 0.1% of the people that saw this wound up just hanging out in Discord for a week or two, I think that would be huge. Now, I've talked to Raspy a lot about this proposal, so I want to recuse myself a little from this conversation. But I mean, there's no way that in this huge audience we don't have people with a bunch of different questions for him. So why doesn't somebody shoot one? You are all going to have questions literally 5 hours from now in the draft in the draft board. Someone's got to want to have questions about a Star Atlas short film being submitted to Sundance or these content packages or anything like that. I know you've got tons of questions, Lance. I'm sure you do, Em. Bohemian, you've never been quiet, so I'll push you too. One of you's got to have something.
I will definitely say you've done a really good job in your PIP ideas, responding to people. So maybe that's I mean, every question I ever have, it seems to get answered. So I've just been following it, and I think it's so cool. And then we jumped into voice chat as we were driving the other day, and I just think it's cool as shit. So no, I don't have questions. I'm just watching.
That's so fantastic to hear. I mean, I also don't mind answering the questions because I have to think about it, and I'm pursuing all of this, whether it's the the collection of ships, or whether it's the interaction on social media, or whether it's the creation of content, or we have some other initiatives we're doing in the background. I've shared quite a bit of it with some folks. It's around building tools and toolkits for Star Atlas. All of these things, I really am putting my full authenticity into it, and calling on favors from friends over the years to support this. So I think we have a good shot at all of it. So let's rock and roll.
No one's going to ask a question. I'll ask questions of you while we're talking about this. So one thing on this proposal is obviously it requires an incredible amount of experience. It's no small thing when we say we're going to create a short film that's getting submitted to Sundance. But the other big thing is the timeline. Holy shit, man. Crazy compressed. You're going to have to like fly around, interview people, do all this stuff, and you're going to have to do it all in time, get through editing, get through production, get through everything to be able to submit by, what is it, September 23rd? Why don't you talk us through, one, your background in doing this type of work so that people know a little bit more about you and your qualifications, and two, what it's going to look like for you the moment that this thing passes and gets approval and you've got funding, like, we're firing the gun, go. What does it look like?
Okay. Well, firstly, it is a very daunting timeline for September 23rd. That it is intimidating. However, the mitigating factors are that I've kind of test run a lot of production stuff, and we can move much more efficiently. And so systems internally are now way more efficient. Secondly, please, you cannot underrate the advancements in AI at this point. It's making big studios are going bankrupt. In fact, Technicolor, I don't know if you guys saw that. Technicolor went bankrupt, oldest sort of movie studio type place in Hollywood, and they auctioned off all of their gear in like a 24-hour period, like computers and everything you would imagine these kind of studios would have, all was sold within a very short period. And so the other thing is, yes, you say, okay, it's approved, go. We would need to identify very quickly, say, top 5 people that are like mandatory, need to be interviewed, and we should follow them. And if they're in the US, we can travel to them and spend 5-6 days, however long we want to do, but we need to immediately capture that with raw footage, and any raw footage we want from the surrounding area or environment. In-game stuff, we'll have to start collecting that and put organizing it. And then I mean, ultimately it would need to be we would need to be editing and have the sort of skeleton, and then fill in. So if we can't interview someone that we were hoping to talk to, like a certain expert, then we would use a backup expert. But all of this needs to move pretty seamlessly. However, another mitigating factor I should just add is that, there is a distinction between a short film and a feature-length film, and the feature-length film is what we're going to shoot for. We've said that we'll do a short film. To be able to do that is much more doable. And we have to consider music composition and, color correction, post-production. All of this stuff is also required for that September 23rd deadline. So, yeah, that's the pathway.
So once
That's
you get
awesome.
through the process of voting, let's just say for an instant that you do get the approval, how soon do you start executing on that idea, and will it be enough time if it's a month from now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that would put us in like sort of mid to last part of May. So we'd
Right.
have, June, July, August, and then, a bit of September.
Yep.
So it's like a very quick turnaround time. I would, you know, if it, as
It's
soon
okay
as
to
we
say
know,
that puts a lot of stress on you, and you might need more time.
no, I think we can achieve it. We kind of need to meet that deadline regardless,
Okay.
because otherwise we're going to be pushed off a whole, sort of season. And I have, some good indications that this type of content is going to be in demand. And that's why I'm also really ramped to do it. So I
Got
want
it.
to meet the deadline because I know what people are buying for next season, and so I want to have, this ready, basically.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and
Do
I think when we were talking previously, maybe before this was ever a proposal, you were considering doing it just yourself.
Yeah, actually, I should probably say that. I mean, in all seriousness, we're already doing it. Actually, the only thing that's not being activated is major expenses like traveling somewhere and having all the camera gear and ready to go, and then and organizing the logistics of, okay, hey, we're doing this shoot and this shoot and this shoot. But as far as preliminary work, I mean, we're already definitely doing it, and I would be doing this anyway. And so even after something gets approved in the DAO part, it's just kind of, we're still going to move forward as we are. So it wouldn't even be dependent on when we received the Atlas tokens.
got it. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
But can I also, they say, everybody likes you, so shut up. But I just have to add, the website part is really, it's really quite exciting to me to have like, this analytics into the specific wallet that is the film and then its activities, so that it's like both transparent for very veteran game players that are part of Star Atlas for a long time, but it's also like it's a nice draw for people that have no idea where to begin.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that I could see I myself screenshotting into our tag up charts here, the way you described it.
Yeah, and I think we have a really good UI. He's a dear friend of mine. He's working on something else, Star Atlas related, just internally, and we're just testing it. But I'm hoping to that he's gonna, build this for me.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Raspy. We
My
have
pleasure.
6 minutes left. Does Marshall want to come up and speak about his pip?
Sure, yeah, I can. But
Oh, I
have
didn't
you
see
seen
you
my
there,
idea, or
brother.
I need to like present it first?
Pardon?
No, we're just super casual. Just we're
Yeah,
just
just
here
talk
to.
about it. Yeah, we're
Like,
just
I
hanging
think
out.
everyone saw my post. It's been like a while. Just maybe people have questions about it or want me to tell more, because some people did not really understand what I was doing. It was maybe too complex for people.
Is this the
Because
Star
there's a lot
Marshall
of things
systems?
happening. Yep, that's one.
Yeah, talk about it, my friend.
You feel
You
it's
gotta take
something
the
that.
stance of right now, right? Like you're in the pip
Sure,
ideas
yeah,
section.
I'll try to make a brief post, but it's really
Yeah.
complicated. So basically, for a year, I was working on a crafting system, which was like allowing me to see the best routes to craft and make the most profit. And then I just started expanding. So it went to ships, and now I'm thinking of making a whole new system to to see what chips to buy, which have the best ROI, what routes should they take. So like the people will just press a button, it will tell what to mine, what to craft, and they can just sit and relax. And probably if I have time, I'll start working on integration with Sly, maybe Atom, maybe actually I think Atom will be better because it has server support, or I'll just make my own system. So you can just press and it'll do everything itself. You can just relax on the beach or something. And yeah, and after that words, maybe it even support for SDU scanning. So right now, like EVI shows you where to scan, but like you cannot like scan it all the time yourself. You just set it and hope for the best. But maybe I can make it so it will automatically AI will see the best SDU places to scan and expand on this way or something else. But that's the whole idea. Like I want to integrate AI to do all the job and we just relax.
So I do remember this idea now, and I do have a really good question for you, and maybe you won't have enough time to answer it, but
sure,
so really cool idea. The idea of an AI that essentially, here's what ship to buy, here's what it needs to go do, where it's going to seek the most optimal path at any given moment in the meta of Star Atlas. It's going to pursue it, it's going to automate it. Essentially, just like this hyper intelligent, it's going to solve all your problems in Star Atlas. Question one would probably be, is it going to be open to everyone and available as a community tool? But
yes,
more so question two, at any given moment, there only is one meta. If there's an individual tool that's guiding everybody to that meta in this ecosystem, that means that meta will change tomorrow. It could change 12 hours from now because the tool is essentially guiding people to whatever's hot at that exact instant, which by the crux of it, it's not going to be hot anymore very quickly. I could see a lot of potential volatility and erratic behavior as the meta keeps rapidly changing as more and more people pile into this, moving around to that. And I could see that really, really kind of damaging the individual value prop for using it as a tool.
I can actually
tell me
respond
about that.
to this.
Yeah, please.
So yeah, I thought about it. Even like when I do it myself, I can't really go for the top one product because so by the time you get there, you have like competition who overtakes. So I go for second best or third best, so people don't compete. That's what happens right now every day. And what I'm thinking of doing, probably two things. One, that maybe I may do like a special subscription for like people who want to get the best deal, so there's less competition. Or potential, it will just like provide great information that this is probably like one of the things I want to do is actually monitor the wallets, what people are doing. So it could sort of spy who's doing what. So like it will automatically detect if there's a lot of people doing this thing. So it's going to be meta. So it's probably not the meta, and see who's buying, because I do trade with a lot of people. I have like 150 wallets of people I'm trading with. So I kind of know who's doing what. And if I can do that, that'll be just insane. Like at some point somebody will do it. I'm already doing so. Kind of, we're going to get there anyway. So
Gotcha.
And the only thing I'm asking is like for the funding, and that's so I can do it more, like make it more available to people than have to make subscriptions. I don't want to make subscriptions so like only whales have access to this tool. I want most people have access to this tool. So
this
that's
isn't
the
AI
reason for
yet,
the funding.
right? This is you creating a software program
It's
that will automate
like
calculations,
AI,
right?
because yeah, you're right. Because with AI, AI is basically used for something else. It's more like a chatbot. If you want to make LLM model, it has hallucinations, and you cannot make hallucinations in something which is super precise. This is super precise. This is rocket science basically, because I have to analyze everything. Like our game is a bit complicated. It's not like super space, but like there's things we need to calculate. So AI will hallucinate and break everything. We cannot use AI unless we can integrate like what's the guy was doing it? I think John, my 1 second.
That's okay. I think I get what you're after. You're not.
Yeah,
John Innes.
AI
Yeah,
yet.
John Innes is making AI already.
You're
That's one
creating
for
Theo.
chatbot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Theo. Yeah. That's one who'll be like telling people, but he's using the program to calculate. Like you'll still need the program to calculate everything because AI cannot do that yet. We're not, or you're gonna have to pay millions or billions probably, like ChatGPT is doing. We don't have that money to make
What I noticed
AI.
is that you have a revenue share. You would like to pay the DAO back 20% of your monthly profits until you've repaid.
Until I pay everything, yeah. But so you're not really, you're just basically it's a loan at this point. It's a loan which I will repay, and
4%.
after that DAO will start getting 4% of the profit.
Yeah, I like that portion
So it's
a lot.
it's a win situation. Yeah, it's a win-win situation for us.
So what sort of metrics do you have, or do you have any metrics right now on how it would be
what do you mean
used?
by metrics? Sorry. Like,
yeah, so we have like 1,000 daily active users, right? How is there any sort of projection model that you have, or is that even possible to figure out what its usage would be?
you mean how many people will be using it?
Sure, yeah.
I could say probably more or less than Sly. Probably less at the beginning, but it's like you can probably see the same projection because if people need to see the crafting pro and roots. I had a lot of requests for that. I've been doing it myself. I've been calculating roots for people and doubling their income daily. So I doubled his income by $2,000.
So you're doing
but
it
that was
manually
like
right now.
Yeah, I was doing it for a year already. I just thought it's better to make AI because I got tired of calculating it myself every day. So I'm just trying to optimize the process so I could just work something else.
How does this app make money? How does it make the 20% you're giving back?
So one of the idea was to make special deals available for whales or something like a subscription with EY. Like currently they have like special subscription, but something like that. Perhaps I could ask more if I get more things like Sly thing, like Sly analog. Maybe I can charge more for that.
So
I don't know.
Subscription service. What was the second thing?
Like the one that Atom was using right now. You're familiar with Atom, right?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, also Atom I heard is charging for their system, which is basically like Sly, but they have servers, so you don't have to turn your computer on all the time. So perhaps I can do that as well.
All right, I think I'm missing
probably
something. How does that earn money? Like, who's paying what?
People just pay for the service, so their
Like a
ships are
subscription.
automatic. Yeah, pretty much subscriptions. Yeah, I mean, if people have old ideas, I'll probably implement that. But like right now, I think subscriptions. If I can avoid subscriptions, but probably can't avoid them.
Atom's a web-based automation tool. So Sly requires you to like understand how to get into like GitHub and then like upload a script into like Tamper Monkey and download extensions and do all this other stuff. Atom takes that portion of the work out of it into like a web-based application that'll automate for you, tied to a subscription model for payment.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
So you would essentially be a competitor to Evi with this product.
I guess.
Yeah,
we'll have a lot of similar functionality. If that's your yeah, basically.
Yeah, I don't mean that in a negative way. But for that, then like maybe your closest revenue comp would be Evi's, since they published some of that. Like I think their premium subscription model right now is generating somewhere around $250 a month for them. So if you and Evi are competitors in the same space, I would wager you could probably take half of that market, maybe with a good product. So maybe 125 a month, maybe 200 a month.
Well, if we compare, like Evi,
as the user base grows, a lot of things become possible. I just mean we at least know what their numbers are, for revenue right now.
Yeah, because they've been on the market for a while. But I check Evi, I do some like quick search, but it's not that configurable. Like I cannot put my numbers in to see exactly how much I'll get in the deals I'm making. Like if I want to do private deal, I have to run it through my own calculator because I cannot trust Evi's prices, and
Right.
know
So
that.
if you took their entire market share right now, that might be worth, I don't know, $350, $400 a month, just for forecasting purposes.
Well,
Okay.
I'm sure they'll be improving if they see something that I have. They'll probably implement it as well. Since right now they don't have any competitors, they're kind of chill on that. But
So
if
then
they see a
half,
competition, they'll probably do more active work. That happened in my other businesses, so I know how it works.
so maybe 200 a month. But just since we actually know their numbers, it's nice. Your comparables, we know the market, we know what a competitor's making, doing some version of this. So then we can just say, well, there's only one person doing this, and here's what they're making off of premium subscriptions. We can model if you're coming in with a competing product. Okay, here's the ceiling, here's the floor, here's what 50% of that looks like. So you're probably looking at maybe like with the existing community size, which maybe it grows, like a 3-year payback if 100% of revenue went to the DAO until it was paid back.
Yeah, perhaps. But there'll be more services, like I'm saying. If I compete with more companies, there'll be more revenue coming in. But yeah, we'll see. We're not there yet. I mean, a
Sounds
lot
really
of things
awesome.
are done, but I'm still working on a lot of things.
Yeah,
Thank you for your time,
exciting
Marshall.
stuff, my friend.
Thank you for your time. All
Thank
right.
you too.
I do want
We're
to
good.
apologize. Yeah, real quick. Lancer pointed it out. We were supposed to do that in the very beginning. Sorry for the folks who are here. We all totally spaced it off, and I was just rambling. So thanks for pointing that out, and I apologize if there's.
Well, I fixed the slide.
We should have done it.
I know to
You
do that
you
next
did.
time.
Thank you.
I put the whole 1, 2,
Yeah.
3 what we prioritized. I didn't think about it. I'm like, did we ask the PIP authors?
Technically, we did fit our format because there were no pre-reviewed PIP authors.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Technically.
That's fair.
So we wound up soliciting
Pre-review.
people who didn't fit that category, but still had something that they were working on.
Okay. I'm good to wrap up. Does anyone else have on the council anything that we'd like to say before we close?
No.
I think we've talked enough.
Yeah, I sure as hell have.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Great hanging out with you guys.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. Concludes SAC number 2, meeting number 2. SAC 2, meeting 2.
Bye.
Go team, go.